But before that, it goes back further to, many series with Durant and Golden State and Oklahoma City or in San Antonio days. And so, it's being around the league for a while, those guys, but you get to know them a little more intimately and, when you're coaching them and being with them for a season. And so, me being a defensive minded guy, I think it's beneficial to be with those guys and see some of the things that other teams have done against them, ideas I have in my head, and, just being around them, you learn a little more of the intricacies of their game.
Last night, Durant was talking about how much you covered him off ball, often following him around with the crowd. I mean, just what have you seen over the years that sort of works towards that end, just being able to deny him touches and that kind of thing?
Yeah, that's the start of your defense is not allowing him to get it. It's as simple as it sounds. The less touches he has, the better, obviously. And but you have to understand they have other guys that can beat you out there. And trying to find that balance of showing him body, showing him, physicality, but not letting others get too loose. But at times, you're going to have to sacrifice some of that, Brown going off a little bit, Dragic going off at times to keep the ball away from him. And so, last year in the Milwaukee series, PJ Tucker really got into his body, was physical, denied touches, denied catches. And so those are things that have worked so far.
Ime, last year, this was a series Grant really couldn't play in at all and staple of the rotation on this team. What do you kind of see as the biggest difference in terms of, who he was last year at this time and for you guys now?
Yeah, it was growth. I mean, throughout the season, just coming into the season was he took a huge leap as far as that. The way we're defending may, be more beneficial to him with a lot of the switching and him being able to guard on the perimeter as opposed to a traditional drop coverage with bigs or whatever it may be. The shooting, obviously, that's a benefit for us, a team that really loads up and is trying to take Jalen and Jason out at times. You want to have Peyton and Grant and guys that can space the floor. And so all those things, factor into him being a big key to this series. And so he was a guy, role players have to step up at times, and he was the guy who kept us in the game early when we were a little stagnant offensively, and Peyton did the same in the second half. And so understanding how we're guarding their big two and they're guarding our big two, it's going to be beneficial for guys to step up and take some of the pressure off, and he does that on both ends of the court.
You mentioned Jalen slowing the game down once you got going in the fourth there. What goes into that?
There's a little bit of everything. I think not just Jalen, it was everybody in the first half. We were playing, we want to play fast, as I mentioned, but not play into their hands. We want to make them guard more than just one action, swing the ball side to side. Their defense starts to dissipate the more passes and playing against closeouts. And so as fast as we want to play and get out in transition, especially after makes, we got to have some more purpose and be deliberate with what we're trying to, how we're trying to attack them. And so Jalen, as well as the rest of the guys, slowed down in the second half. We saw some things that worked spacing wise, and he was able to attack and get downhill.
When you look at the first two games of the series and how you guys won, whether it was coming back from a huge deficit or relinquishing the lead in the game one, what does it say about your team to be able to find ways to win?
Yeah, we've seen a lot of different things this year and have been through some things that have been benefiting us in the playoffs. I think, at times early in the season when we lost the lead, we may not have found our way like we did in game one. And then this game, getting in the deficit, we really had to rely on our defense to get back in it, which we were guarding okay. I think our offense was more of the problem in the first half especially. So we've kind of run the gamut of ways to win and lose this year. And I think we've learned from those and shown that we have some resolve that we can come back from a deficit and understanding how Brooklyn is going to continue to play and how we can get back in the game. So it's a matter of us, relying on our defense. And as I mentioned, I think this game was more of an offensive, us finding our offensive rhythm in the second half. I think we scored 70 points in like the last 25 minutes. So after being a little stagnant early, we saw what worked for us. And then we locked down in the second half with the 25 and 17-point third and fourth quarter.
Hey, mate, what's the plan now for Rob heading into this weekend? Is he going to travel with you guys and kind of continue his rehab with you guys on the road, or is the plan to kind of leave him back here and have him ramp up back?
No, he'll travel with us. It's just different than the end of the season where we want him to, early stages of his rehab. We want him to be here, getting 2 days in. this is the time of year we want him around the team, camaraderie wise, and his impact just being around the group to be in that playoff atmosphere. So he'll travel with us. And, regarding him, he's progressing well. He's had no setbacks, and that benchmark of where we aimed, the 4 to 6 weeks, is looking good. And so we're happy with his progress.
Jalen yesterday mentioned that at halftime you kind of showed your poise a little bit and you were pretty calm. I guess what was kind of going through your mind at halftime, and how were you kind of able to stay calm despite the first half yesterday?
Yeah, it was really that we hadn't played well, especially offensively, and we're only down 10. We had chances, and it felt like we got the 5-point game quite a few times, and had some fouls, had some turnovers, and to be only down 10 with the poor offensive play at times, we really looked at 2 stretches: the first 6 minutes of the game and the last 5 minutes of the half when Dragic kind of went off. If we continued to guard Durant and Irving as well as we had, Brown and Dragic kind of got them going. And so we looked at all the positives. We were optimistic that if we played the right way offensively, we'd be able to get back into it. And defensively, we were solid enough. 65 is high for us in the half, but with Dragic and Bruce Brown going off, for them to only have 65, we felt we'd be in good shape going forward.
In terms of just staying calm, do you think that kind of just translates to the team, just keeping them kind of even keeled?
Yeah, it was a lot of self-inflicted things, like offensively. We showed the clips of us just having random 0 possessions, a lot of wasted possessions. And so understanding how they were guarding our guys, especially Jason, and ways we could benefit and pick that apart in the second half. So for me, it was more about we're in decent shape for how poorly we played on both ends, and to be only down 10. And so kind of felt like we took their best punch early and kind of withstood that, and it was a chance for us to get back after it second half, playing more to our standard.
Is Rob able to practice yet, or is there a time when he might practice shortly? Do you know, or
Not practice. He's jumped up his level of activity as far as rehab, and like I said, getting out there and doing some 3-on-3 and 4-on-4, that type of things, but not practicing with the team. You can't really emulate the game, but he's starting to do more, contact work and getting out there playing a little bit, like I said, 3-on-3, 4-on-4. And as much as we are going through things, walk through, we want to get the guys that are going to be on the court the reps. And so there's no need to put him in there with us for walkthrough type activities. So he's doing this thing outside of the group more so than with us.
and with Grant, I don't know, Jason sometimes has roasted him to us this year. Marcus, you brought him in your April Fool's joke. What is he kind of like the little brother of the team? What does he mean to the culture and keeping guys loose? And I don't know.
Yeah, I think you could say that. His success, guys are happy for him, but I think it goes to his head at times, and so they love to bring him down back to earth. But it's needed for us. He's a guy for me. I probably see some similarities in myself as a role player that can impact the game, and so as much as I hold Jason and Jalen to a higher standard, I do him as well as the rest of the group, and so. His job is pretty simple in my eyes, and when he deviates from that, quick to let him know. But I think the team is happy for his success, but also wants to keep him in check because it can go to his head pretty quickly.
Hey, Ime, up 2-0 in this series, and the guys have said it's far from over. Not to say you get complacent or anything, but just with the series now shifting to Brooklyn, what are you looking to see and carry over from games 1 and 2 to now on the road?
Yeah, we understand how potent they are in offensively, and we've guarded them well at times, but they can get it going if we relax at all. And so for us, that carryover is the focus on defense. Obviously, offensively, as I mentioned, having the right purpose in how we want to attack them and not playing into their hands. And so understand when it's going to be going on the road. And, just because you won at home, it's kind of what you were supposed to do, and now we have to do it in a hostile environment. So can't get off to the start we did yesterday, being down 9-0, and turning the ball over, some of the fouling issues that we've had. Although it's been even on both sides, so we're attacking on one end, but we're just fouling a little bit too much. And so for us, I think keeping our edge, not getting complacent at all, thinking we've done anything, because it can flip back very easily. I've seen that as a player and a coach in this league.
Couple Zoom questions. First from Abby Chin.
Hi, Ime. You just spoke about your experience in being a reserve player, how challenging is that to come into a role, and how nice has it been to see your guys? Sorry, my son is also here. Nice to see Grant and Peyton and Derek as well step into those roles and shine in this series so far.
I think, I can lean on my experience to talk to these guys and kind of simplify everything for them. But, we talk about it all the time, and especially in playoff series, role players can swing a series. And so what Grant did for us last night and Peyton did to finish, you see Dragic and Bruce Brown and some of those guys doing it as well. So we rely on our starters to do what they do on a night-to-night basis. But, what those guys can do for us can swing a series. And so it's good to see their hard work and, their effort get rewarded. And with us, we believe in pretty much everybody that's getting a chance to be in the game. And last night it was Peyton, went with the smaller lineups. He was making some shots, making some plays, and he got a few more minutes than Derek and shaved down some of Marcus's minutes. And so we're going to go with the guys who are playing well with specific groups. And, we have no problem or lack of confidence in anybody in the game, understanding they're going to try to attack certain matchups. But as I mentioned with Peyton, he's one of our toughest guys out there. And what he does for us offensively, spacing wise, is very noticeable.
Gary Washburn.
Hey, Ime, it was obvious they were focusing on guarding Jason. They guarded him hard. He struggled. He was getting frustrated. But it seemed like he was content to be more of a playmaker last night and maybe take some of his chances or shots offensively down the stretch, but not too much. Is that a maturity in him? And we talked about this all season. But just him not trying to do too much offensively and understanding it might not be my night in that category.
Yeah, I think you've seen his growth throughout the year. And, I said it to him pretty early in the game. If they're going to guard you this way, you initiate stuff, get everybody their shots, and it'll open up for you later in the game. And at times you're going to have to be a decoy. And so, he had a 10 assist night, and we just showed some film and went through some one-on-one tape with guys, and probably could have 15 assists, understanding how they're guarding him and where the help is coming from. And so he missed some outlets just like other guys playing in the crowd, especially early, and just showing them that and understanding how they're trying to take him away, but also put him in positions where he can't be double teamed, give him more space to operate with. And I think we found that later in the game. But that was obviously their point of emphasis coming into the game last night, was to be extremely physical with him and show him a crowd wherever he was at. So more so than isolations on the nail in certain areas, we're going to have to get him out in space playing against their crowd. And he can be the playmaker that he has been later in this year and get everybody involved. And then it'll open up for him late, which it did.
Final question from John Corrales.
Ime, Jalen talked about not panicking at halftime and all. Can you just explain the concept of how much time there really is in an NBA game? Like I think on the outside, people see fourth quarter and a double-digit deficit, or third quarter double-digit deficit, and people start to get worried. But just from your perspective, like how is there a panic time at what point, and just how much time is there for you guys to make adjustments within a game down the stretch?
Yeah, I think you've seen it more this year than ever before. Big leads being lost, and we were on the receiving end of some of those early in the season. So just continue to have that composure and poise and let us figure things out. But at the same time, you want to play the right way from the start, not to put yourself in those situations. And so that's our point: is let's play the right way, and we always know we can really lock in defensively if we need to get ourselves back in the game. And so having that in your back pocket, understanding you can lock down if we do the right things offensively is, it's kind of always in the back of our mind. But plenty of time, but this is a very good scoring team that if you let them get going, it's hard to contain, hard to stop. And so it's more so how they're scoring, who's scoring. And, you're obviously not going to keep Durant and Irving down every night. And so you have to understand what we're trying to get offensively and defensively. And so although you have time, you want to come out with the right kind of mindset at the start of the game, and going down 9-0 and how stagnant we were offensively doesn't lend or lead into that. And so better start for us next game, especially on the road, and don't want to get in those deficits and have to rely on us defensively being exceptional to get back in the game.
Thank you very much, Coach.
Thank you.